The next thing to do is to come over and select something on the layout, but then use Command or Control A to select everything on the layout. And then what we want to do now is group everything. And the keyboard shortcut for grouping is Command R. So I'll go ahead and hit Command R, and now everything has been grouped into a single object, which makes it easier to bring it over and to protect you against inadvertently clicking and moving just one part and getting it kind of goofed up. So by grouping everything, that simplifies matters. And then we'll go Command C to copy it. Now what we want to do is, before we actually bring it over, just take a moment and look in the info window and notice these two first fields, this one and this one. This one represents the distance of the upper left-hand corner of the object. That would be this little spot right over here. So you want to make sure that that is positioned in exactly the same position across both versions of the layout. In this case, it's sitting at the 0, 0 position, and so that's where we want it to land over here. Now, typically what I do is I just click somewhere in the high upper left-hand corner, like this, of the new layout, and then I will paste that in. And so once I paste it in the layout, the first thing I do is I look up here and make sure that these are still the same as they were over on this side. And if they are, then we're almost done. Now the next thing to do is to go back over to your original layout, go into Browse mode, and just check to see how the view setting is set up. This one is set up to be in Form View, and if we come over here and select this and go into Browse mode, it too by default will be in Browse mode. But in many cases you'll be in List mode or some other mode, so you need to make sure that you get those right. Now, once you've done that, because the parts that we have over here are not complicated parts, in other words the body part, for example, if I click over here and double click it, I can choose the part definition, which is body, but you can see that there are very few parameter settings for that. There will be some for some of these others, however, so depending on what you're doing, we always want to think to check and make sure that all of our parts are properly set up. So we've got this one done right. If I go into Browse mode now, you'll see that there's some data in here, and everything just at a glance looks okay, and I would expect it to be okay because we've gotten all of our naming conventions right. And if we did, then everything should map over just lickety-split. Let's go ahead and do another one. We'll just go down here to the next one. Since we're in layout mode, I'll just click the Rolodex on the right, go to the next layout, and this is People One-Line List, and it's also coming from the People file. So I'll come over to here and go to the next one. So People One-Line List, and that's from the People file. So we know we have that much right. Then you can see that you have a header and a body, no footer. So we'll come over here and let's get rid of the footer. Next thing to do is go back over here and select the header, and then look at the height of that. So it's 95 pixels down in terms of its vertical height. So I'll copy that value, come over here, select the header, double click in here and paste that value in. Hit enter or return, and that brings that down to the proper height. You always want to go from top to bottom as you go through these parts. So the next one we're going to look at is the body. I'll select that. Looking here, that's 37 pixels tall. So I'll copy that, come over to here, select it, come in here and paste that 37 and hit enter or return. So we basically laid the groundwork, and again, just to bear in mind that the header, when you double click on that, it doesn't have any special parameter settings here that we need to worry about. Maybe the restart page numbers, but that would be about it. So just eyeball this and go back and forth between the left and the right one and make sure that you have your parts set up correctly, because that's something that you have to manually set up. So now we're actually ready to bring these layout objects over. So clicking in the layout somewhere, select everything with Command A, then Command R to group everything. And by the way, there's a little bug in FileMaker. Occasionally, even though you have grouped everything, you may not see the left and right, left and top positions up here properly updated. And so, as a rule of thumb, what I do is after I've grouped everything, I'll just hit the right arrow once and then hit the left arrow to take it back. That will cause this to update, and if there were any changes that it needed to recognize, it will now display those. So looking at this, you can see that both of these are at 0. So I'll come over here and I'll go Command-C to copy these. Then I'll come over here, click in the upper left-hand corner, and paste. And it's going to tell me that it's going to push things down a little bit. That's okay, just let it do it. Once it brings it over, then you may be able to tweak it and get this to come back up. But there are subtle differences, so if you aren't able to push this all the way up so that it basically hits the bottom, or as it is at least as tall here on the body, this is at 38, and this one over here is at 37. Well, that's about as good as it's going to get. And so what we'll want to do now is come over here to this one and let's see how it looks. So we'll go into browse mode, and because we have a lot of records and because we can tell that this is in list mode here, right? So come back over to this one, go into browse mode, and you're only going to see one record until you click this button to put it in list mode. And now you can see all the records.